anything you want.
So he comes out. I'm trying to think of the wording he used. So he comes out and I said, oh yeah, like all 4 channels work and stuff like that.
Industry standard, I imagine he would say something like that.
He was just like, I've never even used it, man. He's like, it's perfect. I checked it all out. And I was like, okay, nice. And then I just was curious, for our podcast. So I said to him, oh, you're a musician yourself? And dude, he gave me he was like, yeah.
I play.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And he was like, he has an apartment and he's like,
where's he living?
Oh, cool. In Langford.
Big blues town. Langford, you may as well be living in the Delta there.
And he's like, I was like, oh, cool. So you have like a little studio up there or something like that? And he was like, yeah, something like that. And he's like, what about you? What are you doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm building I sort of I played it down a little bit because I was just like, yeah, I'm just setting up a little space for me to do some recording, whatever. And he was like, he laughed and he was really cool, cute kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I've basically got a full venue in my apartment. That's what he said, venue. He's like, I've basically got a rock concert venue up there.
It's capable.
And I was like, kind of trying to understand. And he's like, I've got a full orchestra up there, kind of he used weird words.
MIDI
and
orchestra.
I'm like, but he's like, what I envisioned was that he had a full stage PA.
Yeah.
And all the gear and no
Hot
bed
wheels. He has a lot of Hot Wheels.
No bed or
Small,
furniture.
You know what I mean? He plays with it.
Lego.
Toys. Lego. A Lego stadium. Which makes sense because that's why the fucking Behringer 4-channel, that's like a 1U rack mount thing. I mean, that's taking up a lot of space. That's going to be as big as the stage in a Lego stadium, rock and roll stadium, I'd say.
Yeah, so he was like, yeah, that's the impression I got. No bed, no furniture, but he just puts on blues jams with his buddies. But
I think
he was very impressed.
Do people like him ever? Because obviously music, it is about community and it's about meeting people and, collaborating to some extent. Even if you're a solo artist, you need community unless you're Steve Miller. And because he doesn't seem to need anything except himself. And you're kind of around people, and by being nice to people, they remember you, and they're like, "Oh, you get Johnny to play that gig," or if you need someone to, you think, for example, Johnny, you well know, if you trying to make something that sounds like Tonight's the Night, and you want to kind of pep it up and make it sound more like The Long Run, you get me in.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how people know me. I'm known as that guy. I know. I can Timothy B. Schmidtify any fucking song. So
that's true.
And and do it with pleasure and humility, grace under pressure sometimes. And then you meet more people and you keep going, and then people at the top level, all the people I've met who are very successful, legitimately, they're mostly really nice people. Admittedly, sometimes they have a heavy hand and know what they want at times, which is impressive. And they have a vision. But do you think the guy, the 60-year-old guy in the Gibson shirt with his bleach blonde hair and his Lego stadium, ever considered that his attitude is the reason that he's not playing real stadiums?
Definitely not.
Or do you think he's it's every other motherfucker?
Yeah, it is. That's what he thinks. And he's probably doubled down on that attitude at some point.
You have to at some point double down.
I'm not badass enough is my problem.
That's the problem.
I don't give off enough rock and roll attitude. Yeah. That must be the reason I'm not successful, But I considered, I almost said, hey, man, I'd love to come check it out and jam sometime. I didn't, but I'm getting to the point that I'm going to start saying that because I am curious, even for content for our show. It'd be good to do. Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's been a better time to be a 60-year-old person in music. It's still feasible.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, much like with yacht rock, like we said, you got to tread real carefully around these things. We've been playing shows this summer, and we've been peppering in a couple of covers.
Yeah,
with Yukon Blonde, and they're really fun to play. And then you sort of
you're
think,
one good version of Summer of 69 away from being a full-time cover band.
it feels like that's possibly where it could go. And then before you realize it, you are like, oh, I'll take the cover gig. Yeah, that could be fun. We could do that. And then you're playing at Langford Pub.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, pretty good money, honestly.
Yeah.
Pretty good money
to play a cover set.
I mean, you got to play twice a week, but it's pretty good money.
It pays for my storage space that I just lost in the fucking melee of my.
I know. It's a slippery slope, but
so
and like it's cool if you're in the Good Time Boys and you get to play in like Hollywood and do but it's a little different when you're playing the Langford Lanes.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
A little bit different.
It's not quite got the same. Shout out to Luke, our boy Luke Paquin. Of the Good Time Boys down in LA. And wishing him all the best on his big move.
Yeah, he's landed on his feet. Everyone's been wanting to know.
Yeah, and I've been talking to him a lot actually this week because I had a dream about him. I should tell you the dream. It was pretty funny actually. Do you want me to tell you the dream first?
Sure.
I had 2 dreams about him. I've not told him about the second one. It's really interesting. I've been dreaming about my friends a lot. And this is really weird because I had a dream. You could like this one. So I was hanging out with Steve Bays, the lead singer of Hot Hot Heat, in my dream. Mm-hmm. And we were jamming in some kind of like, old style writing. Probably the jam space me and you shared like 20 years ago or something. That kind of place.
Okay.
We're working out these songs. We're working out some stuff. And then Luke shows up.
Nice.
Who was in Hot Hot Heat in my dream. And he was in real life. And he's looking like really good. Mm-hmm. Shorter hair. Cropped hair, like kind of like my length, not his like traditional like length. More of his kind of Nuno Betancourt is kind of the what he's rocking these days. Kiedis Betancourt,
nice,
L.A. So he had it more chopped off, more kind of indie sleaze.
Yeah,
and he gets there and he's like, then I realized that we're actually we're the Verve. We're just Richard Ashcroft's band.
Nice
for some reason in the dream, and I'm like, fuck. That's what we've been learning. Fuck that. And I'm saying to Luke and Steven, like, man, like, I know that, like, that's like Britpop and shit, but like, this will go to number 1 in England. Like, we're in the Verve.
Yeah,
it'll go to number 1. There's money. Like, we'll do okay. And then I realized there's like scheduling conflicts with my band in real life.
Yeah,
and I'm like, fuck. And we've been learning the wrong songs.
Oh, that's when it turns into like a stress dream.
So then I actually voice memoed Luke the next morning and told him, and he said, strangest thing, last night I was in a bar and met a guy who was a doppelganger of Richard Ashcroft.
Interesting.
So I've kind of got like a David Lynchian Lost Highway style relationship with Luke right now.
Yeah, and he's living in a very kind of Lynchian spot in LA.
Fucking is, yeah.
Up in the Hollywood Hills.
Hollywood Heights.
Hollywood Heights, up in the hills, and
you can walk to Musso and Frank's from his place.
You can walk to Musso's, and he was funny. Like I texted him, and I was like, "He's like, I got the new place," and there was another place he was looking at that was a real Spader vibe.
Yeah, he was looking.
I was like,
"This is more jiggle." He was looking for American Gigolo James Spader style spot.
Yeah, I said, "Did you get the Spader?" And he said, "Not the Spader, more shampoo."
Yeah, more shampoo, exactly.
He's more shampoo.
Like he's right off Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, yeah. It's a nice spot, though. Walk down to Davies for the gig. It's perfect for him.
I mean, trouble. There's a little bit troubling that he can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm excited for him.
But yeah, congrats. We love to see him land on his feet.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me too.
I can't wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should pop down and see him for sure.
I can't wait to do it.
Tell me about email number 2.
Oh, the second email was a notification of my rent getting increased.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of hit me with the wand too.
Yeah, exactly. Gut punched and then straight to the jaw.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
I wanted to talk to you about something that you were mentioning about how you can Timothy B. Schmidt a song, and you approach a session with grace and ability,
precious and grace.
But there's something else that you possess, and that I like to think that I also possess, and some musicians we love. It's something we've been talking about, thinking a lot about lately. Yeah. Restraint.
We were talking about this on the phone the other day, and this is an interesting
and we were thinking
point.
Restraint is a really important category in ranking you as a musician, as a top musician,
particularly a drummer.
particularly a drummer.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about restraint in terms of ranking and how important it is. And I was thinking like all the best records, you know, the most classic records,
All of them.
What do they have in common? The band is showing a lot of restraint.
Yeah.
Unless there's a moment that they need to not do
unless
that, right?
you're into fucking Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which is unlistenable music.
Yeah, if it's that kind of music where it's like a 3 or 4 or 7 person circle jerk on stage trying to show each other up, to me that's pretty much unlistenable stuff.
Yeah.
But
restraint. So let's go through the ranking categories here for anyone who's new. We've got 10 ranking categories that we use to rank musicians.
Well, this is if we're doing drumming only, I think.
Well, I want to know if we're doing drumming where we put restraint into the 10.
I see.
So I'm going to go